Welcome to this week's edition of Outdoors Online, a weekly webcast produced by the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. I'm your host, Tom Jensen. My guest this week is Aaron Robinson. Aaron is an upland bird biologist with Game and Fish. We're going to talk about the upcoming grouse season. Aaron, let's talk first. We have so many different species of grouse and things. Let's do them one at a time.
Sure.
Talk first about sharptails.
Yeah, sharptails are our main prairie grouse species. They essentially encompass the entire state. There's some areas that are fairly sparse, but most counties have sharptails. They have been and probably will be in the future our number one grouse species, and we in North Dakota are fortunate enough to support one of the strongest grouse populations in the country. So you know, we think of South Dakota or North Dakota for pheasants. Well, North Dakota is the place for grouse.
And people can get to, if they hunt grouse, they can actually get a jump on pheasant season, kind of get tuned up for it and things by enjoying the grouse season.
Absolutely. Grouse season to me is my favorite, not just because I'm the grouse biologist, but the birds are very, very fun to hunt. They come up in coveys, and so you get opportunities for multiple flushes and staggered flushes. If you like, you find a covey of grouse, you usually can shoot several at a time. And they're perfect for pointing dogs, which is what I love, because they usually hold very tight. They don't run away like a pheasant does, and so you get a lot of opportunities for some very good points. So.
The mystery bird, I guess if you want to call it that in North Dakota, is the ruffed grouse, and there's probably people that don't even know we have them in the state.
Right.
Let's talk about them for a
minute.
Yeah,
we have a couple small populations up in the Turtle Mountains in the Pembina Gorge area. You're right, our population is very limited to those areas, and over the last few years we've seen a pretty big decline in the number of grouse that we've had compared to the early 80s and that time period. But we have seen about a 40% increase this year compared to last year. So there is some opportunity there, and that actually is a very, very fun hunt. You can get up and enjoy the fall colors and walking through, you know, the aspen and the birch and all that kind of
country, sure.
area, and it's actually a very fun hunt. If you are privy to pointing dogs, that actually makes it really challenging, because most of the time when the dogs find the birds, they don't just jump up in a tree, they actually fly away, so you have to time your shots to not shoot trees, and you're shooting, you know, it's very challenging, which makes it a lot of fun.
Sure. Of course, sage grouse season is closed again this year, but let's talk about them anyway. Discuss their future in North Dakota.
We've seen, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen our population decline by about 75%. And that's because of a multitude of things. There's a lot of variables that go into that. But needless to say, the Fish and Wildlife Service right now is trying to determine whether that bird is warranted for endangered status. They should be coming out with a listing decision here this month in September, and that will change the future of sage grouse forever if they do become listed, because that will close all hunting seasons across the West, and we'll have a lot of conservation efforts that need to be put in place to try to rebound that bird. Now, if they don't become listed, again, that doesn't mean we have to forget about them. There's a lot of conservation plans that all the game and fish agencies across the West and the federal agencies have put in place that now need to start into the implementation phase. So there's a lot of work to be done on that bird.
Aaron, it seems like Hungarian partridge that we have in the state are kind of a cyclical bird. They're up and down. Where are we at now? Well,
back in the 80s, we had really high populations. Hunters would regularly see 4 or 5 coveys in a hunt. Now that's gone to just opportunistic. You see one maybe in a couple hunts. Well, the good news is this year our hunt population's up about 40% from last year.
Wow.
And that last year it came back quite a bit. This year I'm expecting hunters to see a lot more hunts this year. It's not a bird where you can specifically go out and target them, because they're spread out, and we don't have densities that on our brood surveys don't pick up those densities or those pockets.
Right.
But overall in the state, our population's up about 40%. So I think hunters will find more huns this year.
Is 40% unusual?
Not with a partridge species. They have very, very high reproductive output, so they'll have up to 15, 18 chicks in one clutch, but they have a very high mortality rate too. So these birds will only live a few months a lot of the times. Even the adults usually don't live more than a year. So the population, that's why they have such a high reproductive output to offset their high mortality rate. So yeah, that's not abnormal. I mean, you could see, I've seen populations in the West with chukars, which are a cousin, go from increase 200% in 1 year. And it's just a matter of the right environmental conditions that cause that.
All right, Aaron, you and your crews do an upland wing survey every year to gather some much needed data. Tell me more about that survey.
Yeah, the wing survey is our way to gauge production for that previous year or that current year. We look at the age ratio, which is the number of chicks per adult, and that gives us a very good metric to I guess analyze how that population is doing and how the production was for that year. So if we have a high age ratio, meaning a lot of chicks per adult, then we had a very good hatch, and that leads, then the next year we should expect a high adult population for that next spring. It is probably the most valuable survey that we do because it's the most accurate of being able to look. We get a wing in hand, and we're able to age it and sex it, and even age it to the week it was hatched. So we can tell what week during the year that bird was hatched.
How do you actually do the survey?
Well, what we do is when hunters go out, they harvest, for instance, a grouse. We ask them to send in one of the wings, one of the central tail feathers, and one of the head feathers. Each part of that, the tail feathers for a female and adult have different patterns, and you're able to tell what it is just based on that pattern. Same with the head feather. Now the wings, depending on the molt stage, grouse will molt all of their primary feathers once, and then they'll molt the first 8 again in that first year, and depending on the stage of those feathers that are growing back, we can determine how old they are.
Well, how do you determine who you send the wing packets to?
Well, in the past what we do is we used to take a random sample of hunters that had sent in wings previously. Now we've gone to the point where we don't get a lot of wings back, and so anyone who sends in a wing last year is going to get a wing packet this year. So we're hoping we continue to get more people to send wings so we can take a random sample and we don't have to send it to everyone, because that means we're getting a big enough sample.
How does one volunteer?
Well, you can go to our website. Number one, we have a link that you can request a wing packet, and we'll send you as many as you want. You know, if we ask that you put 1 wing per inner envelope, and you can put up to 5 wings in the outer envelope. And you know, if you want a bunch of them, we'll send you as many as you want, as long as you get them to us.
All right. Do they need to send in information as far as license number or anything like
Nope,
that?
Nope. All they do is all we need is your address, so we can ship you the wing envelopes. They're prepaid, so once you shoot the birds, you put the needed parts in there. You just throw it in the mail, and you don't have to worry about any postage or anything like that.
All right. All in all, how would you characterize the upcoming grouse season?
You know, I just looked at the numbers yesterday from our brood survey, and last year was a pretty good year. We haven't been able to look at the harvest yet, but we did harvest quite a few birds, and this year is almost right on par to that. We have more adults this year than we did last year. Last year we had fewer adults, more chicks. This year we have more adults, fewer chicks, but it's insignificant. There's about the same number of chicks, and this goes from the west all the way to the east. We saw the same, roughly the same increase. So we're looking at about you know, if you look at the numbers, it's about a 5% increase from last year, but that really is insignificant, so it's going to be very similar to last year.
All right, Aaron, thanks.
Yep.
There are a number of hunting seasons that are about to open for fall. The much anticipated season for sharp-tailed and ruffed grouse and partridge is scheduled to open Saturday, September 12th. The youth deer season opens Friday, September 18th. And the youth waterfowl season starts the next day, Saturday the 19th. The resident early waterfowl season opens the following weekend, Saturday, September 26th. The pronghorn firearms season starts Friday, October 2nd. Saturday, October 3rd marks the opening of the youth pheasant season and the regular waterfowl season. The pheasant and fall turkey seasons both open the same day, Saturday, October 10th. The deer gun season starts at noon on Friday, November 6th, and the deer muzzleloader season is scheduled for Friday, November 27th. For Aaron Robinson and the rest of the staff here at North Dakota Game and Fish, thanks for joining us for Outdoors Online. We'll see you again next week.